just to kickstart, right? Just to thank you again for being part of the first initiative, which is our Prepare Mondays, where we're going to get coaches, mentors, business coaches, motivational speakers to come on board and to share what they do with our community of financial consultants and agency leaders in the Insurance Collective. And first and foremost, let's look at a very important part of your work. So if you could just share, Melanie, what you do and your motivations and your inspirations that you want to share with our Insurance Collective community.
Oh, it'd be my utmost pleasure to do so. I guess to put it very simply, I am a guide, okay? I show people how to move forward in their life across major life transitions, all right? And I actually help people to rediscover themselves so that they can shine their light, shine their gifts, okay, in order to be of service to their promised people, okay? And how I do this, it's via three ways, okay? I am a counseling psychologist, I'm also a life coach, and I'm also an energy healer, right? So I focus a lot on the healing journey that we all undertake as we rediscover ourselves, as we slowly unfold, okay, and embrace our own uniqueness. So my journey was a rather interesting journey because I grew up in a difficult family in which there were a lot of life transitions. I grew up poor, okay. I had a mother. I had a mother, okay, who has mental illness, okay, and she has a history of trauma and abuse, okay, in her lineage. So at some point of time in my life, I decided that there is more to life than just pain, suffering, trials, and tribulation. And I asked the question to myself, okay, what is the purpose of life? Okay, why do I have this set of gifts? Why do I have this set of qualities? And why do I experience what I experience? Therefore, it took me like a very interesting journey. Okay, so I incorporate a holistic perspective in my work. And it's not only just the mental aspect. I focus a lot on the physical aspect, the emotional aspect, the spiritual aspect, as well as the community aspect of this. Because we as human beings, we are not designed to live alone. We are designed to live in communities. So my main drive, my main motivation that keeps me going in my toughest times is this. Everyone is a spark of the divine, okay? Everyone has inherent goodness, okay? Sometimes all they need is just clarity and a reassurance that they are loved and they are supported in whatever that they do in their life. So basically, that's the gist of it.
Right. So Melanie, just linked to that, I would just want to ask you a question off the top of my head, right? How do past patterns, right, influence a person's present? And how can they change that in the future with personal coaching or life coaching?
Okay, so we all are creatures of habits, okay? So these past patterns that most of the time will originate from our childhood experiences, they create the foundation of habits that we either consciously or subconsciously play in our lives until to a point where it creates a dysfunction. And the dysfunction can be like a mental or a physical health breakdown, relationships breaking down, stagnancy, feeling stuck, or even feeling lost. All right. So, how personal coaching and life coaching can help is to help discover what is the root cause of these past patterns. Where does it come from? Okay. And from there to actually challenge or guide the person to really question, is this the truth? Or is there a different alternative, a different story behind it? So back to you, Warren.
Right, right. So, Melanie, very interesting on that note. I've personally experienced this past patterns which have impacted the way I have been. And that trigger point or that tipping point towards change, that can be organic to a certain extent. And of course, to a certain extent, where we have motivational coaches, life coaches such as yourself who come into the picture here. Now, the insurance industry or the financial services industry, it's very dynamic, it's very competitive. And how would a financial consultant or agency leader be able to recognize these patterns, right? And from there, how would you gear your sessions towards them in order for them to move from a past pattern which has been limiting them to move forward into the present and the future, where they can then dispel these patterns away and create a better personal or professional life for themselves?
Okay, so I guess the easiest way to determine whether change is needed is if there are goals that are set and you're not progressing.
Mhm.
Okay. For example, if you have a target or an ROI, okay, and you're stuck with that for a long time, okay, then this is a good time to question
Mhm.
what is behind that. Okay. Secondly is if things are breaking apart, like for example, relationships, okay, um, it can be a professional relationship where suddenly clients decide to disappear into thin air, or business partnerships gone all right, or even in the personal relationships where there's too much of conflict or increased level of conflict, okay, that would be a good time to ask why. What is going on here? What is the learning here? All right. So there are others who are more proactive, who would say that, okay, I want to achieve this goal. However, I do know that there's some resistance within, and I would like to know why. Okay, so there are two approaches there. Those are more reactive and those are more proactive.
Right,
Okay,
right.
so how I approach them is the same. First and foremost is to help them understand what is truly going on, okay, in a few levels, the personal level, the community level, okay. And in the personal levels, there are other levels as well. Like for example, what are your thought processes? What is your emotions? Are you aware of your emotions? Okay. How does your body feel when you make certain decisions? Okay. And in the community level, there are different levels. We first start with the family. Are you aware of your family patterns when it comes to, for example, success, abundance? You still hold outdated beliefs that no longer serve you. For example, success can only be earned through blood, sweat, and tears. Okay. In this time and age, there's different options now. You know, success can be easy. Okay. And then we look at the bigger level, at the industry. Okay, what is the collective belief about the industry? Okay, and then finally we go bigger and bigger and bigger. Yeah. So that's one stage. Okay. And what happens is this: once we once we map out everything, then I'll do what I call a deep cleaning stage, where we get these beliefs cleared. Okay, and replace them with the ones
Mhm.
that are more aligned and more resonant with you at this point of time.
Right,
And then finally, we go into the implementation of planning stage, because chances are 90% of the time these leaders, they have fantastic plans, but they sabotage themselves or allow themselves to be sabotaged. So this is basically a general overview of how I work with this group of people.
right, right. Lovely, Melanie. If I could just take some context to this, right? It's exactly how financial consultants work. You know, there is that discovery stage when they meet up with their clients. That's called the fact-finding process. to understand the shortfalls in their financial insurance portfolio. And then they are looking at why that particular clients are in that situation. Then it comes to the point in which you mentioned as well, getting in depth, right? Creating an awareness and being acknowledging the awareness, of course, and coming up with the solutions that would then help them amplify towards the right methods or the right way of life. It's very similar to the financial planning process. So I'm pretty certain the FCs and ALs would not have a problem with that. But a key part here is it's very much related to the sales activity. For example, if a consultant meets a client, how will we then be able to, as an individual, as a client, or even as a financial consultant who is part of your course and your program, the acknowledgement is key. To acknowledge that there is a situation, right? And most of us are bound by our egos to a certain extent, denial, to accept that, hey, I actually have an issue that I might want to solve. Now, how would you, what would your suggestions or your advice be for a person who would want to cross the first threshold to be working with you or to even understanding the issues at hand?
Okay. So first and foremost is to first thank yourself for actually acknowledging this.
Right.
Because it takes courage and bravery to acknowledge that you have a situation to be resolved. Okay. And please remember this, every part of us is designed to keep us safe and protected, even though it may not make sense. Okay. Our egos are designed to protect us from any form of harm or any pain. Okay. So when you are able to see that they are doing their functions as per base to original design, okay, then it's easier for compassion, kindness, okay, to come in. All right. I believe, okay, a lot of the of the people in the industry are high achievers, okay, to the point that they are very good at criticizing themselves, okay, and they are too hard on themselves sometimes, okay. So the key here is this: the moment you acknowledge that you want to work on something, okay, and you're willing to look into this, I bring in the component of compassion, kindness, gentleness, and empathy, in which these are the virtues I closely work with in order to bring in change, any forms of change in life.
Right, right. So that's the key part of the industry yet again, right? Insurance is a very noble industry. There are lots of people out there who exude that kindness and that compassion at the core of how they take their business forward. So if we come back to that question here, the catalyst or that point that pushes out, these are the core characteristics that an individual should have in the industry to move forward. Now, when it comes to that, how can one then look at amplifying this kindness, this compassion? We all have that to a certain extent in varying degrees. And how can we then amplify it both in our personal lives and our professional lives? Being mindful on the fact that financial consultants or agency leaders, they are too people with families, people too with a social life, people too who have tons of responsibilities coming their way. So how could that be then brought from their personal to their professional lives? And then in totality with the structure, how can that then be the abundance that they exude for everyone else?
Okay, that's a really lovely question. Okay, and I guess I'll answer this in a simple sentence. Okay, what brings you joy when you do this work?
Right.
What gives you that sense of purpose and that satisfaction, that deep soul level satisfaction within you in this work that you do? It's beyond the questions of what keeps you going on or what keeps you awake at night, or what drives you to wake up in the morning. Okay, we are talking long term. Okay, we're talking about 10, 20, 30 years. What sustains you in this journey? Okay, and if you are able to connect with that, and usually it's not about the money, okay? If you're able to connect or reconnect with that quality, then you're on the right track.
Right. That's amazing. I think it's very simple. The answer is actually pretty simple in how we are going to move forward. What makes you wake up with a lot of joy and gives you that absolute motivation to move forward, to wake up every day, as you mentioned, and to get on with the activities that come into play. Because knowing the industry pretty well and being in it for the past 15 years, there is always that mental block that comes about. Whether it's the start of a day or whether it's the end of a day, it is just what's going to happen the next day. We are left at a point in which, oh, I've got to do these tasks. And these tasks mean I have to exude this amount of energy. And with all of that, how am I going to amplify my motivation? Right? So my thought process is that joy that comes out from us. Now, if you could share with us from your angle here, what is the joy that exudes from you that keeps you motivated in doing this on a daily basis? I'm sure you meet clients every day and you're coaching clients as well. So what keeps you motivated? What gives you that drive and that energy?
Oh, wow. I love all these questions. Like, who?
Out of script anywhere.
Yes, I love questions like this. Like, okay. So it's, you know, to be honest, my work is not always marshmallows and unicorns. Okay. There are tough times, you see. And being in this industry where I focus on hearing a lot of stories about trauma, about pain. Okay. Sometimes I go back home, I'm thinking, oh God, how can I do this? All right. And somehow this is a mix. Okay. What exudes this joy in me is this. When deep down I know that I have a purpose, okay, my purpose is to be of service to my promised people, okay, and that I'm supported in all ways possible as I align myself to purpose, and to see that relief, that realization, and to see them from suffering to thriving,
Right.
that keeps me going, for the past, I think it's 7 years plus since I've done this professional work. It's there. So to see the impact that I have made, even for one life, it's enough for me.
Yeah.
So yeah.
That's great. I can't seem to help but connect the parallels between your industry and your profession and the insurance industry and the profession of the consultants and agency leaders as well. Very rightfully said that when the consultants or agency leaders, for consultants, for example, when they are going to meet a client, where the client is today and where they are in a few years down the road, you might have a client who might not be financially secure or stable right now, but starts off with a great plan or protection plan, more or less, to take care of his family or take care of his retirement needs. In 5-10 years down the road, you see that maturity check that you're handing over, or you see them then saying like, hey, you know what? I would like to get more policies. I would like to increase my coverage because I've got a family right now. That journey is exactly what the consultants go through as well. So it is that joy that triggers them, that satisfaction, that job satisfaction. And there's a certain way that we put it. There is a dharma to everything that we do. And in that context, I think that is what the joy that they would evoke, that when they see their clients being financially secure or so on. And it's also similar to agency leaders. Agency leaders are mentors. And when they see a charge or a new consultant under them grow, develop, both personally and professionally, I think that is the joy that the agency leaders are also looking for in that context. So to sort of move forward on the current situation right now, I'm pretty sure you're aware what is going on, and we had lengthy discussions and talk about the COVID situation as well, how that's impacted everybody on a large scale. Now, with the consultants and agency leaders, in particular, with them in mind, right, what would your suggestions or advice be at a current time like this, where there is so much of adversity, so much of confusion, what can they do to then build their motivations or energy levels so that they are at optimum level of performance as well?
Okay, that is such a relevant question right now, because motivation and performance is at the back burner for most people. Okay, so I would like to remind the people in the industry that you are the gatekeepers, the way showers, okay, for your clients who you are taking care of right now. They're coming to you and they're worried and they see you as the expert, okay? So please understand that this is a responsibility you have to take care of your clients in this time. Most, if not some of your clients may have suffered COVID-19 directly, either through a loss of a family member. Okay, now it's not the time to doubt yourself. Okay, now it's the time to be human. Connect with them, be with them. All right. I would say this, and I'll say this again in all my coaching courses. Money is energy. There is more than plenty of money running around in this point of time that you can ever spend in one lifetime. Yeah. So if you focus on the connection itself and also focus on your connection with yourself, okay, everything will be settled. Yeah.
Absolutely agree. That was very beautiful. To put it in simple words, I think that the core of everything else, not just in the insurance industry or anything at this point, is just to exude that compassion, to do the right thing right, I believe, which is very important at this time and stage. And so right, Melanie, in some way or the other, every one of us has been impacted by this. You know, it's in the extreme situations, we might have a loved one or friends or family who have been impacted by the COVID in a very drastic way. And in another way or the other, we are looking back to self-reflect and think, if this happened to me, what would I do? And then putting ourselves in the positions of the clients. At this stage, they need us the most. The truth of the matter is they need their financial consultants, very importantly, because the question comes about, am I adequately covered?
Yes.
That's something that's going to come about, you know. And if I am down with COVID, do I have the hospitalization benefits that's going to take me through?
Yes.
Right? Employment is a question here at this stage. If I don't earn enough, am I going to be able to sustain my insurance premiums? What's going to happen if I am retrenched? Do I have enough to fall back on my daily expenses? And the expenses still go on, by the way. Bills are still need to be paid. So that is so right. The anchor and the pillar or beacon of hope right now are these consultants. And thank you, Melanie, for putting it out there that they should be there at the forefront. And that's true. I mean, there is that much of money you need in a lifetime, but there is that much of good you can do in a lifetime, and there's no limit to it.
Yes.
And that's amazing, Melanie. So on that note, thank you very much for sharing these important pearls of wisdom, as well as sharing what you do. It's really a pleasure to have you on board the Insure Academy. And I'm glad that we kickstarted this entire initiative with you as well.
Oh,
So
thank you.
more than welcome. And if you could just share one liner, something that you just want to share straight out, shout out to all the consultants and agency leaders, just a quick one line, powerful, impactful one that it's a takeaway for all of us.
Okay. This is just a moment in time. So stay connected with yourself, right? Be yourself. All will be well.
Thank you. All will be well indeed. Thank you, Melanie. Appreciate it.
Most welcome.
All right.